Good morning, TFR.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zach, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Real Media is the best on the planet. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the Ironworx with Zach, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
And a Fiat Lux to you all. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Ironworx right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Nice, quiet, relaxing Tuesday morning. Seems like it's going to turn out to be. There is a rather good possibility Awesome Austin might be popping in at some point this morning. Otherwise, it's just Zach and I. What's up, Zach? How you doing?
Hey, Josh. Yeah, when you have family and all that kind of stuff going on with the children, you never know what might have happened. You know, He could have been up real late dealing with something. You just never know. So can't really hold too much on Austin for that. I didn't remember him saying he was coming this Tuesday. I mean, doors always open, of course, but
nope. He sent me a message last night. He asked if it was cool.
Oh, okay.
I was like, well, of course, it's cool. Come and go as you please. So no, I fully expected him to be here. So there's a good chance he's gonna wake up or realize that he's forgotten or not made it, and he might just rush on over here and pop in. So you just never can tell.
Well, how was your weekend?
It was good. Mine was relatively quiet. Sunday was my wife's 40th birthday. So we did a whole bunch of nothing there.
The big 4-0.
Big 4-0. Which was
you like those young girls, don't you?
I do. Gotta like them young. And it was kind of hitting her a little harder than she was anticipating, hitting the big 4-0. And just sort of this dissatisfaction with where her life is now that she's reached 40 and thought she should have been
an astronaut.
Well, earning more, valued more, I think is a better way of saying it. She used to be a professional photographer, and once the business sort of folded and they had let everybody go, one of her big bosses had said that if it were up to him, he would have paid her a lot more because she was worth every bit of $50,000 a year. But it was just sort of out of his hands that he couldn't pay her that. And that was a decade ago when we met. And then all this COVID stuffs, and she's had some pretty crazy drama and stuff going on there at work. But I guess it was Friday. They said, asked her if she would be interested in sort of stepping out of the admin role and stepping over to the drafting side. And since they've got a couple of drafters there for all of the engineers, they would spend a few years grooming her because both of their drafters are older and are going to retire within a year of each other, which will leave them with no one. So she has been hired to sort of take over the drafting department within the next, say, 5 years as she builds up her skill set. So that came
Nice.
with a
Drafting's pretty cool.
It is really cool. All of that Revit and AutoCAD and all that cool shit.
Yeah, I'm way old school. Last time I used AutoCAD was 1998. Yeah. So I mean, they say it hasn't really changed all that much from, those older versions of AutoCAD.
Sure.
They've just added a bunch to it and, tweaked it here. They've probably made it worse a couple years, I'm sure.
I think Premiere Pro is pretty much the same basic thing it's been for all the years, but it seems like they're not necessarily making improvements.
Take stuff away. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be too hard for her to get. She's a pretty bright young lady. 40 years old.
Yep.
Yeah, it really didn't bother me turning 40. I don't know. It's just another day. Well, I got 80 more years once I hit 40. That's what I realized. So I was like, yeah, I'm a third
of the way through.
Plenty of time. Yeah, my weekend wasn't too bad. Got a lot of stuff done around the house. It's been like science. Well, I mean, it usually is always over in this house, but I don't know. These last couple weeks I've had some really great conversations. Bob and Cammy about the sky and, just everything. Just, I don't know. My brain's been going in some different directions. That Tesla coil. It makes me wonder. I mean, the only evidence that we have that there's any heat above our head comes from space agencies. The highest any civilians launched anything is what, the Go Fast rocket? They say it went 73 miles. I'm sure you all remember that one, the one that sounded like it hit some kind of viscous liquid or something like that. Well, if you look at the thermometer on that one, it's at negative 273 degrees up there. That's cold. That's real cold. So does the sun produce heat? The actual sun, whatever the sun is? I mean, I know that little yellow thing we see in the sky, it makes my face warm when I look at it. But I'm not talking about that. That could be happening lower than 70 miles up. That could be just interacting with atmosphere at some point. I don't know.
I've gotten into my car on a hot summer's day and burned the shit out of my hand on the steering wheel because that car had gotten so hot sitting in that sun. Now, it wasn't that hot outside the car, but it was definitely super hot inside the car, as if the sun was able to just radiate that heat in there and just heat up the inside of the car separately from the outside.
But yeah, my Tesla coil, it lights up gases, does all the stuff that the sun appears to do, and it never gets hot. I mean, if you leave it running for, 10 minutes, I'm having a brain fart. It's too early. Not the capacitor, the transistor. The transistor on it will get a little bit warm. That can end up getting a little bit hot, but the Tesla coil itself, the actual coil, it never gets hot. So it makes me wonder, does the sun up there have to be hot? I mean, there's no indication that I've seen by anybody trustworthy that there's any heat up there at any point. So I don't know. Yeah, we've been having some really it kind of changes things, like a lot. If that source up there doesn't have to create heat. So yeah, just a thought. We've been tossing around and trying to, see if the edges of the puzzle pieces fit in all the different spots. But yeah, it wasn't a bad weekend.
There's
Finally got
Austin.
all the leaves up.
I see Austin in chat. Just woke up. I see you there, Austin. Feel free to come hop on if you ever do get wake enough to do so. But again, the invitation's always open. You've got the link. Come and go at your convenience.
So what's the snow like? Have you seen snow yet, Josh?
Nothing.
See people in chat talking about snow.
I think I saw a couple flurries maybe a couple weeks ago. Nothing that I think was even being picked up on the news, or I had not heard of any snow coming through. It just sort of seemed like some rogue cold front came through in just a few seconds with a few flurries, and that was about it. But nothing that would spot easily or even accumulated. So not as of yet, which is pretty amazing considering we're already 1 week into December.
I know. This reminds me of 2015 or 2014. Sorry. It didn't snow at all at the end of the year in 2014. January 4th, 2015 was the first day it snowed that winter. It took till January, and that was in northern Indiana, 41 degrees north, and we didn't see snow until that day. That was the first time my whole life it didn't snow in December at all. Didn't see snow. So it has happened before. The only reason I remember that day is because my last dog, Zimmerman, he passed away on that day. And it was like I don't know, it was like the earth was crying for me or something. Kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting it to snow that day either. But so it does happen, these weird ones. We've had a beautiful fall. We haven't had, it doesn't really rain that much around here. I thought, I don't know, I'm used to being, near Lake Michigan. And now that I'm finding out when you don't live near a giant body of water, it really doesn't rain that much. Not nearly as much as it does when you're 30 miles or closer to that lake. Those big giant bodies of fresh water, the snow, the rain, all that kind of stuff. Well, they said it was a slow year here for rain. So I can't just base it on 1 year. But yeah, it's shocking to me that how much this stuff can survive around here. Everything's still green. Everything. Except for, a lot of the trees. The maples and the oaks and all them. The evergreens, they always stay green. But the grass and everything, it's all green. And it hasn't rained in, I can't even remember when the last time it rained. Yeah, this place is amazing, folks. When you go out and you live in multiple different places for, and you just notice how different the weather is everywhere. It's really amazing. I definitely wouldn't want a weatherman's job. You don't have to really be accurate or even right. Not most of them aren't, but
$200,000 to take a guess at the weather? Shit. I'll do it for 75.
There's that one guy who I guess he uses the Soros cycle. The same cycle that the eclipses run on. But he does it with weather. And he says the weather follows that Soros cycle. So if you had a crazy, and it won't be exact to the day, but big farmers, Bill Gates type farmers who have, makes all the French fries for McDonald's, the potatoes for their French fries. He'll pay this guy a lot of money to tell him when to plant, when to do this, when to do that. There's a lot of farmers. This guy makes a slam, but he can, I think it's up to 80% accurate. He'll predict the weather 6 months in advance. Yeah, it's amazing. I forget the guy's name. Oh, I forget the guy's name, but he's the best in the world. And there's all these people out there, scientists, saying, "Oh, that doesn't work. This doesn't. We don't know how he does it, but it's not because of that." And it's like, yeah,
He just gets lucky every single time.
yeah.
So Bearsworth in chat has a question. It says, "Hey, is silver being the most conductive metal a Mandela effect?" I've not heard that silver is the most conductive metal. So, I mean, maybe. I always assumed it was gold. I don't even think that was an assumption. I'm pretty sure I was taught that at some point. That's why all your HDMI cords and all your high quality cables are made out of gold, because they conduct so much better. I mean, if silver was a better conductor, it seems like you'd want to use the cheaper, more available silver as a superconductor versus, say, gold.
Yeah, I think it's because the gold doesn't tarnish as quickly as silver, maybe. Or the elements don't affect the gold as much as they do the silver. I'm not sure. Silver being the most conductive, that I'm not going to say I've never heard it before, but I'm not going to say that I have, but it sounds like I have heard it somewhere before. I'm just not, because I was looking up stuff like that, the most conductive, this and that.
Lucas confirms, yes, silver is the most conductive and the most reflective.
Liz is waiting on a delivery of some more silver coins.
Yeah.
Wonderful, Liz. A smart lady right there, folks. You can get silver coins, especially, and you know they're real silver. Be careful who you're buying your precious metals from and stuff like that. Make sure it's a credible source. There's a lot of shysters out there, especially right now.
David
the prices of all these things getting ready to go up, up, up.
David M in chat is saying that copper, I'm assuming that's a copper, Cooper is the most conductive. And I thought it was sort of that it had the best ratio of cost to conductiveness.
Yeah. I mean, they put zinc in most stuff now. They don't even use copper anymore because of the cost. So yeah, that would make sense. I'm pretty sure I've heard that silver is the best conductor, but it's just not cost effective to use. Copper, your pennies from an American penny from 1982 or before, I think it's up to like 7 cents now. A penny. Every penny's worth 7 cents for the amount of copper in it. Something like that. Yeah. But no, I took apart a die-hard battery jumper. It had the air compressor on it and a couple switches in the front and USB ports, and it was a nice one. And I melted all the wires inside. I cut it all apart and took it apart and got all the pieces out of it. And I just wanted to see what the wires were made of. Most of them were zinc. I think all of it was zinc. Zinc is in just about everything. Zinc and copper. There you go. You got a battery. Bunch of pennies. Get some washers or something like that. They're probably made of zinc. Yeah, you got yourself a battery. I remember Breaking Bad. You ever watch that show?
I have.
when they were stuck out in the desert in the middle of nowhere, that RV, because Jesse left some light on or something. They were out there like all day making drugs, and then they would go to start the RV and it's just dead. And they're like in the middle of nowhere with no water, no food, out in the desert. And Walt's freaking out, and Jesse's like, "Come on, man, aren't you like Mr. Wizard or something? Can't you make a battery out of cow shit or something?" So he finds a bunch of pennies in there and then a bunch of washers, 2 buckets, makes the salt bridge in between them, runs a wire from one side to the positive, the other to the negative of the battery. I don't know if it would work like that well. I mean, you need at least 14 volts usually to start up the car.
So did he jump it off of this, or did he use it
Yeah.
to trickle charge the battery?
I think he trickle charged the battery.
I was going to say, I can see how that might charge a battery after 18 hours or so. I can't imagine you jump an RV battery off of that.
Yeah, that was one of those things I learned from that show. I mean, for as bad as the show was, as far as, what the people did in the show, I really enjoyed that show. And I didn't watch it until like 2 years after it was done, because I just didn't think I'd like it. All the drugs and violence and all that stuff. But whoever, I forget, I'm not sure what that guy's name is. To me, he's the dad, Malcolm in the Middle. But he did an amazing job on that series, I thought.
He really is quite the actor. Pretty dang versatile. Because even his goofiness and the weird comedic timing that they used on Malcolm in the Middle, he embodied that role as much as he embodied the one on Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's like he gets into the characters. Wasn't a flat earther then, but did hear Walter say, "I could have told you the earth was flat." I was so out of it. Him and his wife were arguing about his phones, but she didn't know he had another phone and all this kind of stuff. This was kind of early on in the series. And he was all messed up after leaving the doctor's office. He was like coming out of anesthesia. And she asked him, "Oh, did you leave your phone back in the room?" And he said, "Which one?" That was the first question he asked her. "Well, which one?" And she brings it up to him later after he's, sober. It's like, "I was out of my mind. I could have told you the earth was flat." So they were even doing it back then. Kind of makes you wonder how many people knew about this. I'm not saying he knew, but the writers maybe? I don't know. The more and more I'm looking and going back through old movies and this and that, I'm seeing more flat earth references that I'm like remembering.
I just hopped on, but are you talking about flat earth reference in Breaking Bad?
Yeah, when he's waking up from the anesthesia. And his
there's
wife
another
asked,
one.
"Is
Yeah,
there?"
go ahead.
Oh, well, his wife was just asking him, "Oh, did you grab your phone?" And he was like, "Which one?" And this was before she knew he was selling drugs or, doing anything like that.
Right.
And he wasn't supposed to have another. Why would you have another phone? I'm your wife. Why don't I know about your other phone? Blah, 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 So it started a big thing. And he was like, "Well, I was so messed up on drugs. I could have told you the earth was flat. I was so messed up."
Yeah, and then she's like, "You know what? I think you just did. I think you just told the truth." That's what she said right after that.
Yeah. Like telling you.
That was a great show.
It really was. I thought when it was going on, I had no intention to watch it. I was like, meth, drug dealing, this and that. I was like, not my cup of tea.
Dude, when that show was going on, I was living that shit. I didn't watch that show until after the fact. It's a pretty good show, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't slinging it or nothing, but I was smoking it.
Yeah. There's a few of those that tend to hit a little close to home. You're like, oh, this makes me just
Yeah, you're like,
uncomfortable.
oh wow, I've been there.
Yep.
Dude, I've seen that guy. No way.
Yeah, I know people like him for sure.
So how was your weekend? Oh shit.
Good.
Great.
Oh,
We'll discuss
right.
that a little bit more on the other side of the break, which apparently snuck up on us all. Thank you guys for hanging out for this first segment of the Ironworx right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Stick around. We got Awesome Austin hanging out with us this morning. Josh and Zach. Walter is eating lots of soup. We'll be right back for the second half of the first half of the Ironworx right after this.
It's easy to sit on the edge of your bed and to think, there are things I'm doing, there are things I'm not doing, that I should be doing, that I could and would do. Small things. But you can start to improve your life incrementally by eliminating those things that are self-evidently making you bitter and miserable. But you have to decide that that's what you want. You're willing to burn off that dead wood, to sacrifice that bitterness and that unhappiness, even though you may feel that you're justified in harboring it. You may even be justified in harboring it because people have very hard lives and sometimes they're very badly mistreated. You need to think it's okay if things improve, and it would be worthwhile for me to start to abandon those things that I'm doing that I know to be harmful to myself.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Gio, founder of Truth Frequency Radio and host of Beyond the Veil. The mainstream media and establishment are running scared right now, and they've prominently featured truthfrequencyradio.com as number 89 on the federal government's hit list, also known as the fake news list, which is essentially a list of sites slated for censorship on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and other social media. Now is the time for you to get involved. Share your favorite TFR shows far and wide on forums and social media. Tell your friends and family about your favorite shows. If you're a business owner, get in touch with us to feature your product or service right here on TFR. And if you haven't done so already, become a TFR supporter now and get unlimited commercial-free downloads in high quality. Visit truthfrequencyradio.com/sign-up. Thank you for making TFR the leader in independent and uncensored talk radio. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Remote viewing reveals Tataria history, starseeds, lightworkers, and indigos. Join me on the Nikki Colombo Show. It's time to reclaim our true history, our true timelines, our cosmic heritage. And remember to be humble, for you are made of earth, and to be noble, for you are made
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
And welcome back to the second half of the first half of the Ironworx, kicking off right now. We are joined by Awesome Austin, host of the Melodome, Wake and Bake, which was a great show on Sunday, by the way. But tomorrow is actually a pretty big day for the YouTubes. Thanks in part to Awesome Austin and Mike LeBrash. We have a pretty exciting show coming up on Wednesday night, Breaking the Chains of Addiction 2.0 over there on Awesome Austin's channel.
Hell yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yes, it will.
It's going to be great. Jeremy from I Want to Know More and you, it's going to be a great time. Volume 2. I seen Bearsworth in the chat. Shout out to Bearsworth. I don't know if you got my email address, but I'm going to put it in the chat. I'd like for you to email me, brother.
Definitely. But then you are also, on top of hosting a show, you will be joining a show as a guest as well.
That's right. I will be. That's right. Mike LeBrash is going to be throwing his first show, T.H.C, the Truther's Hour of Comedy. And I'm going to be his first guest, and we're going to kick it right after the show. So right after we go through some like waterworks and some emotional stuff, it's going to go to a lighthearted, good time over on Mike's channel. So it's going to be great.
That's going to be awesome. I will be guest number 2 over on the Truther's Hour of Comedy, T.H.C.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. So also tomorrow during the show, Mike's going to be announcing his co-host for the show as well.
That's right.
So that's going to be really exciting. So you guys need to tune in so you can catch all those announcements. Check out Awesome Austin over there on Mike LeBrash's channel. I do believe, I don't think it's in this one. I think it was in last week's. I think the show description has Awesome Austin's channel in it this week. But you know what? I can just throw it up there at some point today.
I'll get his channel link. I'll put it in the chat.
Perfect.
Yeah, guys, go sub his channel. He's a great guy, dude. I like Mike. He's good peoples. Since I had him on, we've been talking. We talk back and forth periodically. I mean, there's a few of you guys that I talk to throughout the week, honestly. Bunch of good people here. What was I doing again? Oh, yeah, finding that link.
So, yeah, how was your weekend, man? How's the fam doing? Everybody hanging in there?
Good. Yeah, we had the company I work for, they throw a huge Christmas party for all the employees. It's like they do it. It looks like a huge giant carnival. I swear they probably spend $500,000 or something just for this one day. But yeah, they got like all these bounce houses. Like it's just a huge carnival thing to bring your family and stuff. So we were out there for a few hours Saturday and just kicking it, having a good time. You know, everything's good. My wife, no one's hurt from the accident, so everything's okay on that tip.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it, man. Yeah, I remember when we were young, Northwest Indiana, a lot of our parents worked at the steel mills. They were in some type of building trade, either, the laborers union, pipe fitters, iron workers, steel workers, electricians. Just there's all these different kinds of laborers. And Northwest Indiana was real big in the labor unions. it was kind of like they didn't allow people from Illinois or Chicago to come over and work in Indiana for this kind of stuff because it was all state work or county work. And and it was kind of like the south side of Chicago is Northwest Indiana. So it's a real big, like metropolitan area without all the big buildings. Just a lot of concrete, a lot of highways and bridges and stuff to be built by these guys. So there was a lot of them. And they would rent out Six Flags Great America up in northern Illinois, just north of Chicago.
I remember Six Flags.
Yeah, the building trades, though, you would have to get your ticket from the building trades at work, and those were the only people allowed in the park that day. So you had like this amusement park that's usually filled with, however many, 5,000, 10,000, whatever, I have no clue. And now you're down to like 500, 600, 700, something like that. I mean, everybody was invited, but a lot of people didn't go. It was like a 3-hour ride up north. So a lot of people didn't take it. So we had the whole amusement park to ourselves. Me and my cousin rode on this one roller coaster like 9 times in a row. It was awesome. Yeah, I used to love stuff like that when they would rent out like the whole park. No waiting in line for an hour and a half for a 2-minute ride and all that bull crap. I haven't been to an amusement park in forever. Forever. Do you guys
me
do that
neither.
stuff down there?
Me neither. There's a lot down here, but we were planning on taking our boys, but then the bullshit happened, and I haven't even checked to see if they even do the mask thing down there because I'm not even interested in taking my boys to any of those places. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday we'll take them out there to one of them.
I would be a nervous wreck. I'm one of those statistics guys, and if you go and look and see like how many children have gone missing in those types of places, man,
oh my gosh,
it's crazy.
My wife is the same way. She's all about statistics. She'll start shouting them out, and sometimes she'll say some things where it's like, man, do you have to say that in front of the boys? Like, your little statistic stuff, you're gonna make them terrified of the world. Like, stop talking like that in front of them. It's like she's like, I'm just making
there's a place
sure.
for it. Yeah.
Right. But it's all out of love. She's just always
Well, yeah. That's Mama Bear right there, protecting her cubs.
She don't play no games.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is. I remember my nephew walked off at the city festival that they had there out in Indiana, Hobo, Bumpkin, Indiana. And my older sister freaked out so bad. Well, with, good reason. And we found him, and he just wanted to go walk over here to see this one thing and this and that. And my sister started yelling at her husband. And my mom, I've never seen my mom so, like, she snapped at her. Like, hey, this is just as much your fault as it is his fault. This and that, yada, yada, yada. Just be thankful, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so many emotions when stuff like that happens. I ran away. Didn't run away. I was like 6 years old. I went with my aunt to the softball field. And we all played on the dirt mound. The young kids, I was 6. I didn't care who was. My older cousin was playing softball. Who cares? There's a bunch of kids over here playing on the dirt pile. I'm going to go play with the kids on the dirt pile. And this one kid was like, hey, you want to go to this one place, blah, 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 blah. And he was telling me about this guy who had a bunch of children that worked for him in this old abandoned warehouse, something or other, and I could be one of the kids and this and that. And I started following him down the railroad tracks, just going for a walk as he's telling me about this stuff. And we could get to this one point, he's like, yeah, but you can never go back home and this and that. And I was like, okay, I'm right back down the railroad tracks this way, right? That's the way I got to go to get back to where I was. It was weird, man.
Yeah,
Really
I'm
weird.
out
He
of
was
there
like
real
a
quick.
few years older than me. I'm sure he was talking nonsense. I hope. But it was like the shadiest part of town, that like neighborhood off of the and it just went into like the country with all these old warehouses and crap in that direction. So now that I think about it, I don't know. But yeah, it was like he was telling me it was like Peter Pan, you know. It's just all kids. There are no parents to tell us what to do and this and that and blah blah blah. And then he said, "Yeah, but you can never go back home to see your mom and dad." And I was like, "All right, I'll see you later."
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, it sounds like you dodged a bullet there, Zach. I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
Shout out to Jeremy there in chat. I want to know
isn't it?
more. On his way to work, in the car / truck / vehicle / private conveyance.
So what do they have there in Missouri? You guys have a Six Flag, don't you? Or not a Six Flags, but a Great America there, Josh?
No, we
Here
definitely
in Missouri?
we got Six Flags. I'm not terribly far
Okay.
from it. Maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe from Six Flags. Six Flags over in Mid-America. Yeah, it's been a hot minute
I
since
used to love those places.
I did too.
I used to love roller coasters. I
Same.
used to love them. Then I hit 18 and I learned about maintenance. And I saw the maintenance workers that looked like a bunch of long-haired hippie stoners. And I was like, yeah, I'm never getting on a roller coaster again.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Long-haired hippie stoners sound like my people.
Those are the carnies that have settled down.
But do you want to put your life in their hands? Make sure they
Hell
tighten that bolt. No, hell no, I don't either.
Oh.
David M says they have Magic Mountain out there in Los Angeles.
I remember Magic
Yeah,
Mountain.
I think they're all Six Flags too, aren't they? Are there six Flags? And what are the Six Flags supposed to represent?
Seems like I looked this up. I looked this up a few years ago. At one point, it seems like. But I'll be damned if I can remember what it was. So I'll just shut up.
Yeah, oh man, too many statistics anymore. I don't know. It really drove me to nature, so I can't really complain too much. You know, it seems there is ways to combat boredom without having to go to places like that. There's so much to learn here in this place. It's really I don't know. I see them as distractions anymore. It used to be fun and this and that, but now it's just a reason for you not to learn something today. I don't know. I've been getting back into trying to learn at least one thing new every day. Usually Tuesdays and Fridays it happens right here in chat. Someone's always teaching me something. Or one of you guys. What'd you learn this weekend, Austin?
Hey, I'm sorry, brother. I just got a phone call. I'll be stepped away for a minute. I'll be right back.
You do your thing. Sorry. It's all good.
You can't enjoy a ride when you're thinking about bolts. That's right. That is correct, Liz. Yeah, and it was weird because I was just getting ready to go onto a roller coaster. And this wasn't like I had this thought before I got to Great America or anything like that. I was getting ready to go on the next roller coaster. I had already been on a few that day. And this one ride was broken down, and I saw the maintenance guy that walked up there to start working on it. And I was like, okay, no. It was weird. It just hit me. Like, okay, these are the people that work on the road to maintain them. I know that's horrible.
I was
The
wondering.
guy could have been the greatest at his job. You know, it was wrong on my part.
But maybe it
I
wasn't
will.
just a visual judgment. Maybe there was something else telling you that that particular man was not the man for the job.
Could have been.
I watched a weird ass fucking movie yesterday, and I'll be damned if I can remember the name of it. But it really was sort of this non sequitur type movie whose basic premise was, you know, maybe you could go back and change the past, change that one horrible thing in your past that you think has sort of derailed your entire life. And if you could only go back and change that one thing, but if given the chance to change that one thing and shown all the positive ways that horrible event in your life has affected everybody else in the world and all the positive ripple effects that horrible thing has caused, would you still want to go back and undo all of those great, wondrous things just to satisfy your selfish needs? Or would you realize that everything happens for a reason and maybe I ought not fuck with the way things are? It was...
Yeah, the butterfly effect is amazing. It really is.
I'm going to need to find the name of that movie because it was one of those really kind of artsy, cerebral kind of things you really have to pay attention to because there's a whole lot going on visually along with the storyline. And it was really weird. It wasn't... Remember that movie, Being John Malkovich? It was sort of like that. This guy had a little door in his closet, and this old electric printer would go off at random times with 3 questions printed on it. And then somebody would knock on his door, and he was supposed to ask these 3 questions and hand him a stone, and they think about a color, that stone turning a specific color, and then he would go get a matching stone, bring it back that was the same color. Then he would take the same color that the person was thinking. So that he would take the person and lead him into his closet. And they were supposed to wait there until the little door opened, and then they go through the little door and something happens. And it's just this whole... It was really freaking weird movie, but it was the kind of weird that I really enjoy. So I really do want to have to go back and double check it because there's a whole lot going on there that needs to be broken down and interpreted, I think. I'll see if I can dig the name of that movie up. It was pretty good, which is unusual for me because there's not many I enjoy.
I don't think I've seen that whole movie. I don't think I ever made it. I think I fell asleep. And then, I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and watch that one for sure. I forget what I was watching and what I was doing at that time. But it just didn't resonate with me at the time. Maybe it wasn't the time for me to watch it. But there's that I don't know. We were talking about the butterfly effect and how, you don't even realize the things you say and the things you do and how many people they can actually affect. You might say something that a child passing by hears you say, and you can change that child's point of view in life forever, and they can grow up to be this great person because they will always remember that thing that you said, and you would never know it. There's so many things, and you might have been in a time of distress when you said it, or you could have been super happy. It doesn't really matter, but you can affect the world around you in so many ways without even, contemplating that you could do it. That's why it's important to be you, whether you're an asshole or a good person or this or that. I mean, just be you. What is true love? In my opinion, true love is telling someone the truth, no matter how it makes them or you feel about it. you know. Telling someone the truth is the most love you could show them. I think that's why it was so important in the Bible. That was Jesus's biggest thing, you know, Yeshua. You know, the truth will set you free. And I don't think he was talking about, you know, if you know all the lies of all these evil, wicked people, then you'll be free. No. You telling the truth.
Living your life
Free
in truth.
soul inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It doesn't matter about the other people lying and trying to fit, you know. I mean, it does. You don't want to believe them and this and that, but being true to yourself, that sets you free. You know, admitting that you have a problem, which is the hardest step for so many people. If they've never been through it before, admitting that you have a problem is not an easy thing to do. But once you do it, it is so freeing. You can now address the problem. It's no longer this monkey on your back that you can't get him off. Now it's something that you've already acknowledged. Before, you didn't even know there was a monkey there because he was on your back. Couldn't see him, you know. Yeah, the truth is, it's amazing when you just start telling the truth. And I used to not tell the truth. I used to lie for fun, you know, just to see how much shit I could lie about and get away with. And then you start realizing, damn, it's hard to keep all these lies straight and this and that, and it doesn't feel good getting caught in lies and this and that. And then you just start telling the truth and you realize, wow, this makes life so much easier.
So much less stress.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes, I don't know, it makes it seem like it's more real. Like you're not living in this movie you're trying to create for yourself.
It really is a powerful thing, just learning to live in truth. One of the things when I started doing live stuff here on Iron Realm all those years ago, and sort of that decision, it was sort of decided that I was going to be the host of the show. So once that was decided and thrust upon me, I had to, you know, decide to go ahead and agree to it. But part of that was how to present that. Because like if you're a Globebusters, if you're Bob and you get, or Jaron, and you get 1,000 people watching you and just this constant onslaught of fans and listeners and haters and trolls and sort of all-consuming type of thing, that I really, especially given my past, had to make it a point that I just had to be completely and utterly out there and honest and open. Sort of like Eminem, 8 Mile in his rap battle. That the only thing that any trolls or haters or anybody could really use against me would be my secrets. The things I was trying to hide, and they could use that against me. So the only way to avoid that is to be completely open and honest and straightforward about my shortcomings and personality defects, of which there are many, and cut them off at the pass. Don't even give them a chance to use it against me. I do have a history of maybe having a bit of a wandering eye. And it was, you know, preferably one of those lessons I learned on my practice wife. And it's never been an issue with me, but I knew that if I was coming and going to start being the host of a show, that there might be people out there that would find it funny to throw a little honeypot out there. and just see how badly they could derail my life, knowing that that could potentially be a weakness, a way in, using some young, hot, pretty girl to try to come on to me. So just like my marriage, like the show, it just has to be a complete and open book. So it's not that I need to not cheat on my wife. That's not good enough. I need to make sure my wife feels like there is no need for me to be cheating. She needs to know she is where my attention is focused. And that is the first half of the Ironworx. Holy cow. We do have Awesome Austin on standby. So you all stand by. And we'll be right back with the second half right after these brief commercials. This is the Ironworx on Truth Frequency Radio.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/signup and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from deception.
When I say climate change, what do you think of? Blah, blah, blah. There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. Blah, 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 blah. We can no longer let the people in power decide. Blah, blah, blah. Did you hear me? What do we want? Blah, blah, blah. But it starts with blah. When do we want it? Blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear. What do we want? Blah, blah, blah. What do you think of? They say blah. When do we want it? Blah, 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 blah. This is all we hear from our so-called leaders. Words that sound great, but just look at the numbers. We can no longer let the people in power decide. What do you think? It's not blah, blah, blah. Of course, we need constructive dialogue, but they now have 30 years of blah, blah, blah. They invite therapeutic young people to meetings like this to pretend that they are listening. This is not about some expensive, politically correct green ad. Blah, blah, blah. There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. No, that's better. Blah, blah, blah. The economy. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Did you hear me? What do we want? Blah, blah, blah. But it starts with blah. When do we want it? Blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear. What do we want? Blah, blah, blah. What do you think, sir? They say blah. When do we want it? Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Fighting climate change calls for innovation, cooperation. They say they want solutions, and they're not holding leaders accountable for their action, or rather inaction. Blah, blah. We need to walk the talk. Blah, 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 blah. If this is what they consider to be climate action, then we don't want it. Blah, blah, blah. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Blah, blah, blah. There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. No, that's better. Blah, blah, blah. The economy. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Did you hear me? What do we want? Blah, blah, blah. But it starts with blah. When do we want it? Blah, blah, blah.
You must unite what has been set aside.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
with dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The Earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
Dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there.
There was one?
There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard,
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt, and Zach. It's like sitting in your front room having a cozy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt, and Zach, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the planet. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the Ironworx with Zach, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
And welcome back to the second half of the Ironworx, kicking off right now. Walt's little intro there that we use reminded me of a little bit of space lettuce that Walter put in the chat last night. It was the very last thing. It was, 7:04 p.m., but it was the last article that we put in our pile of space lettuce. And it was one of those that just kind of made me need to go to bed because it just hurt my brain trying to figure out what the hell, period, just what the hell. So the headline reads, Galaxy discovered with no trace of dark matter. No trace. They couldn't see it at all. They found no trace of dark matter.
Okay.
So dark matter is dark because it doesn't leave a trace. Right. We only know it has to be there because Einstein wouldn't be wrong. So the only way for him to be right is if dark matter exists. But since we can't see it, we don't know where it is, it must just be dark. Not non-existent, just dark. We can't see it. We just know it must be there. So when you have an entire galaxy that has no trace of dark matter, does that mean that it's empty and there's no dark matter? Or does that mean that it's full of dark matter because you can't see any of it? I mean, the only way it would be empty of dark matter is if it were full of, regular matter. Then you would know, because there'd be no room for dark matter. So I was just wondering, is a galaxy with no trace of dark matter, does that mean it's full of dark matter? Or does that mean it's empty of dark matter? Points to ponder.
They can't. Yeah. Well, I can't see these things. So, I mean, it's a 50-50 shot whether it's got dark matter in it or not, right?
Well, I don't know.
Flip a coin.
It just depends. Like when you hear the weather.
Do we have dark matter in our galaxy?
If that goofy ass weatherman says, hey, there's a 65% chance of rain today, that doesn't mean that today there's a chance that it won't rain. A 65% chance of rain applies to the listening area of that particular TV and or radio station, the broadcast distance. So that means that 65% of that area has 100% chance of rain. Not that 100% of that area has a 65% chance of rain, but 65% of the area has a 100% chance of rain. Fucking weather, man.
Yeah, I saw that dark matter. Good
No
Lord.
trace. No trace of dark matter at all. Well, isn't that exciting? We can't see a single piece of the stuff we can't see. Cool story.
Yeah. Have you seen this show called Santa Inc. on HBO? Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
So Seth Rogen and Sarah Silverman decided to make a Christmas show. And it's not like a movie, it's an animated series. And I think it started somewhere near the beginning of December. I don't know if they're going to show another one or not. It has a 3% or 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the IMDb has the lowest rating in history, a 1.1 out of 10, because you can't give anything a 0. The lowest you can give it is a 1. And yet, no critics will watch it to critique it. On the IMDb page or Rotten Tomatoes, whichever one, either or, there are no like actual critics. It's all fans that are putting their comments and voting. Not one critic has made a vote. Not one critic has made a comment. Nobody wants to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. Now, if you make a piece of crap, you made a piece of crap. Okay, nobody wants to see Christmas portrayed as Santa being evil. I'm sorry. You know, it's not going to be a blockbuster hit. And their response to all this negative, you know, press is that, oh, it looks like we pissed off a bunch of white supremacists out there. No, you guys, you made a piece of shit, all right? Own it. Just say, oh, wow, I guess it wasn't that funny. I guess nobody wants to watch. They even said a feminist agenda with a hint of a feminist agenda will be pushed in this. It's all about this little elf, Sarah Silverman, that wants to become Santa Claus because she does all the work and he comes in at the 11th hour and gets all the credit. The old white guy. And it should be, the elves should get all the credit, the workers should get all the credit, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah.
Awesome. Sweet. Okay, workers, pile your shit up. There you go. Now go fuck off and deliver them all. I'm going to chill here. Me and my reindeer are going to sit here. You elves do your fucking thing. Whatever you're good at, go do that. Get the presents delivered. I thought that was my job, but whatever. You want all the fucking credit? Go deliver them. Go get up and down the chimneys. Go do all that shit. No sleigh, no reindeer. That's mine. You go deliver the fucking presents then if you think you deserve all the fucking credit.
You know how many times I've been shot at? That's like the concept of saying, hey, I want to get paid as much as pro athletes that are on the field. These suits wouldn't be clean. There wouldn't be any food to eat. These people, they wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for us. It's like, yeah, they would. Come on now. No, and this, I agree. Wages need to be a little bit safer, or, they need to go up. Inflation and all that stuff going on. I agree. But business owners, and I'm not talking about these CEOs that are turning billions of dollars of profit a year. I'm talking about a business owner. Family-owned business, 100 employees or less, somewhere around there. Do they deserve to make more than the employees that are doing the work? Well, in my opinion, yes. Who is taking the risk? I mean, it's a risk-reward system out there, capitalism. You put money into something, you invest, you spend millions of dollars on machinery, you lease this giant warehouse, you have all this material to make these products. Oh, but without the workers, you wouldn't have any product. Yeah, but without the owner, you wouldn't have a job to put it together. That's just one thing. Now, the second thing is when the owner goes bankrupt and loses everything, do the workers take any of that? Do they have to give up, sell their houses and this? No, they go and find another job. But that owner who put everything, like a roll of the dice almost, into that business, he took a big risk. That's his whole life, And to lose all that and to go, millions of dollars in debt, that's a huge risk that he's taking. So yes, the rewards at the end of that, I think, should be higher. It's like gambling. The more you bet, the more you win. So I agree. Wages are not what they should be according to, inflation and all that kind of stuff. You can't really get on these small business owners too much. I mean, we think they're all living the high life and this and that. They drive fancy cars, have a nice house and this and that. But in the grand scheme of things, they're not making shit compared to these big giant corporations that are running them all out of business slowly. They are scraping to get by and keep that business afloat so people can have a job so they don't have to go work at Walmart and live on food stamps. So yeah, I think they deserve more money in the end. That's just me. That's my opinion. What do you think, Josh? Am I crazy?
I think they are definitely have a substantial claim for sure. But I also don't think it necessarily is a requirement. There's a product line of women's undergarments, sort of back in the day. They were called sort of control top, but they're just sort of more reinforced. Well, they're called Spanx, right? So they're just more meant to hold stuff in a little bit tighter and firmer than they are normally. And Spanx actually sold to another company that got bought out for some ungodly amount of money. It was a pretty nice chunk of change. And the owner of Spanx took that buyout money and bought 2 first-class tickets to anywhere in the world and gave them each to every employee she had. And then to go along with 2 first-class tickets anywhere in the world, she gave them $10,000 a piece to every employee. She says, this buyout means so much to me. I want this to be as memorable of an experience for you as it is for me. And she just took a huge chunk of her money and just gave it to the employees.
I agree with that too.
Mm-hmm. Liz would like to know how it is I know so much about this topic. Well, it probably speaks a bit to my personality defects and the fact that I was primarily raised by my mother and my sister and brainwashed a little bit into sort of that beta male role, I think. I think that I probably would have been a different man completely had I not been raised by my mother and sister. Not that I was brainwashed into a beta male. That's just not even not even really how I see it. I learned to be more sensitive to women and I learned not to block them out for the most part. My wife will tell you differently. And I guess maybe now it's a little different, but growing up, you have to listen. So I'm always listened, always paid attention. And when you have 2 women in the household, their conversations, you clue into some things and you learn to listen and pay attention. So it was real easy to give compliments when you grew up having to notice changes in women's hair. Oh, look, you got layers. That looks good.
Yeah, that's an important one. I tell the lady next door, Miss Betty, she's 91, and she's been bleaching her hair since she was 16 with bleach.
Sheesh.
And 91, yeah, your hair starts, doing things and doesn't look the same as when you were 71. And she is just having the worst time. It's driving, she's really upset about it. So every time I see her, she'll ever, oh, your hair looks so lovely today. I'll know when she has it curled the night before. It's a big ordeal. They do it at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. It depends on if they're going out and stuff like that. But yeah, she's very conscientious about her hair. So I always, yeah, I think I'm the same way. I mean, there was only a couple years in my life where I didn't have a male role model around, but I was primarily raised by my mother, And yeah, you pick up on things, like you said.
It's a survival technique. You have to learn to be more sensitive. And I think that was maybe part of my issue, was that I wasn't always as sensitive as I pretended to be. And I learned had to learn to compartmentalize to my detriment, I think. And rather than learning how to incorporate the two and live in that sort of truth of here's who I am and here's who I want to be, how do I coalesce these two together? It's more of a how do I manipulate every situation so that they think I'm more sensitive than I really am.
Well, yeah, because my stepdad was not the sensitive type or anything like that, or didn't notice things like that. And yeah, I remember my mom being upset a couple times because he didn't notice when she changed something. And those things, it's those memories like that stick to you, and it's like, wow, I don't want to make any woman feel like that. My mom was sad. I don't want to make her sad. I don't want to make anybody feel like that. So I'm gonna, it's not going out of your way in any way. It's just it's just good manners, That was one thing that was drilled into me as a young child.
Me too.
That I don't think is done enough nowadays. There are too many children with no manners raising children. And it's not that they're children in age, they're children in their mentality, the way, they've never admitted that they had a problem. They're still stuck in that stage. And now it's even getting worse with all these millennials coming up that they all got trophies, they all got everything, they all got this their whole lives. They were all told that they were all, everybody's special. And now they're getting out in the real world and finding out that they're not special. And it's really messing with these people's heads. Like, hey, wait a minute. I was taught in school that, all I got to do is show up and participate. I don't have to work hard. What is this? Work hard. Yeah, it was engineered this way. Everybody gets a trophy. But yeah, the whole manners thing, they were drilled into me at a very young age. Please, thank you. Hello, my name is, eye contact. At a very young age, my mom was all about that stuff.
Yeah, mine too. It was, a sense of pride for her, I think, when other parents would come back. Your child is just so well behaved, so well mannered. And I think she really dug that. And again, it was one of those things where growing up, I could see how, Well, let me put it this way. I identified a lot with Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. Just how easily you could manipulate people with just a little bit of politeness. A smile and please and thank you can really throw people off. So I was winning the hearts and minds of parents while corrupting their children. It was, yeah.
Yeah, I get a little Eddie Haskell in me for sure too. Yeah, everybody's parents love me. Even when I had the long hair and the grungy 90s look going on. Yeah, one conversation and they're, oh, you got to come back over and hang out with Jeremy or whatever, you know. You're welcome anytime, hon. Come on over, blah, 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 blah. Door's always open. But before the conversation, they would have looked at me and been like, you're friends with this guy? Yeah, it really did help in the long run, having good manners. And, you know, I think the internet and these cell phones and all these social media is what's really allowing this to go on. When you said something nasty to somebody in front of their face, there could be consequences to that.
Yep.
Like physical consequences, you know? Certain things you don't say. I mean, back in the day, you know, according to his story at least, you were just rude. Not even going and attacking people and saying horrible things, but just being rude. Somebody grabbed a glove out of their pocket, slapped you in the face, and said, "Let's go. Let's go shoot it out. We're gonna settle this like men." Manners are, you know, you weren't rude. That was not allowed. It was, you know, a snafu in society. People didn't just go around and be rude to them for no reason, this and that, without there being some kind of consequence.
Being a dick is frowned upon.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, you know, you can be a dick, but you better be big or really good shot.
Yeah.
You know? But nowadays, it's people that have never had to look anybody in the eye, and they're so big and tough on that keyboard. But in real life, they would never, ever say anything like that to someone's face. Not even a little old man, you know? They wouldn't do it.
Zach, did you see that First Amendment audit in the library where that kid freaks out, starts throwing his soda, chucking chairs across the library, freaking out because they're recording?
No.
You didn't see that one?
No.
That's surprising.
Who did that one?
It was a team of them. Metro Detroit Audits. I think Metro Detroit Audits was the one that sort of set the kid off. The first time I saw it was from one of the other auditors, and he didn't catch the whole thing. But I went back and watched the view from MDA, and this whole snowflake mentality, I think, is sort of the same. The same reason stems from the idea that there are consequence-free actions out there. I get to say whatever I want and have zero consequence. So I should be able to live my life accordingly. Nothing should be able to affect me. I should be able to live in my happy little bubble at the expense of everybody else. And if my happy little bubble happens to get penetrated, then it's your fault, because this is what I know. This is what makes me comfortable. I have a right to be comfortable. And I think there's a lot of people that genuinely believe that they have that right to comfort, whether it's physical or emotional or mental, that they have a right to comfort because they have learned to live an entire life of consequence-free actions on the internet. But yeah, I will dig that up, see if I can't find it. It was really good. I've really been enjoying Open Government Investigations. They're Open Government Investigations and James Madison Audits, I think, are two of my favorite channels these days. Rogue Nation's really good. Rice Krispies really good. They're not putting out a whole lot of content. Not a whole lot. Holy cow. I guess it is that time already. That's going to be end of the third segment here on the Ironworx, which means 4 of 4, the second half of the second half. Coming up right after these messages, we're going to let Chris Gio pay the bills so he can keep the station up and running and flowing smoothly. Things are running like a top these days. I'm digging it. We'll be back.
Number 3 is activity. Activity is what you do. So our lives, first of all, are affected by what we know. Second, our lives are affected by how we feel. Third, our lives are affected by what we do. It is so important to understand this. If you want to influence and help people, here's the key. Success is a doing. You've got to actually do it. Activity is high priority in the life process to try to get maximum benefit out of what we have available. Activity. Now, here's an important question. What is your philosophy about activity? What about hard work? What about long hours? What about full days? If you're doing something, how hard should you go at it? How much time should you put in? Everybody has to develop their philosophy about activity. Let me quote you. Old Testament says, 6 days activity, 1 day rest. That's called philosophy of ratio of activity.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Travis Cook, America's Evil Genius, here to invite you to join us every Tuesday afternoon here on Truth Frequency Radio. No, on our show, you will not see a bunch of three-piece suits or a cocktail party, and you certainly won't see a bunch of inside the Beltway banter. But you will see eye-gouging, crotch-kicking, no-holds-barred political discussion, the likes of which you won't see anywhere else in media. America's Evil Genius. We come to you every Tuesday from the outskirts of war-torn St. Louis, Missouri, where there's always a good race rider sex scandal just around the corner. Join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and noon on the left coast right here on TFRlive.com. America's Evil Genius, Travis Cook. Frequency.com.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR. Your protection from deception.
with their moans, groans.
Well, hell, that's not what that was supposed to be. I thought I had that. You know what? That's because be on my own computer before I blew it up. That's what I wanted. That's all I wanted. Is that so hard? Anyway, welcome back. Fourth and final segment of the Ironworks. Kicking off right now. Me just mucking it up.
I'm back.
Sweet. Austin is
Sorry,
I love
guys.
the mummy.
No worries.
No worries, Austin. Life happens.
Man, I got something so cool coming in the works. Someone made me a song and it is so cool.
Nice.
I can't wait to make a video to it and post it. It's gonna be so cool. Oh man.
Awesome.
Oh man, dude, I can't wait to show it.
Well, that's exciting. Remind everybody else what you got going on this week.
Yeah, we got for the Melodome, Breaking the Chains of Addiction, Volume 2, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have my man Josh right here from Iron Rome Media and Jeremy from I Want to Know More. They're both going to be on sharing some of their stories. I think it's obviously something important that we need to talk about. The first one resonated with a lot of people. So we're going to get into things like that. The second half of the show, I'll be dropping the link. And then maybe after somebody hearing some amazing stories, maybe it inspires them to want to come on and, hey, you know what? I want to share my story too. So, the second half, we'll be dropping the link to see if there's anybody out in the audience that feels the urge to want to share their story of addiction or fighting addiction, whether you have beaten that demon or you're currently battling it daily. Come over and check it out. I think it's great therapy for me and it's great therapy for others.
Yeah, it really helps to talk about it. I will say that for sure. Anybody out there that's, timid about even being on a show like that or whatnot, it really does help to, even if you're just in chat commenting, just getting some of that stuff off your chest and releasing it out into the ether. It takes so much weight of that burden off of you just by admitting it. If you don't want to write it in chat, write it down on a piece of paper somewhere. Burn the piece of paper if you want, but just
Dude,
write
that
it
was
down.
my biggest secret. Even though physically, I obviously wasn't hiding that secret, but to myself, like it was a secret to me. Like how deep and dark my addiction was my biggest secret. Now, it is, become part of my story. It's a big part of my life, whether I like it or not. It is what it is. So I'm just trying to transmutate that shit, like Josh said, and push it back out into the ether.
Well, yeah, you can either stuff it down and hide from it, or you can share it with others and help other people get over that same thing that you did. That amazing
Absolutely.
transformation that you made. It took time and it was not easy. And there's a lot of people going, trying to start that transformation.
Right. And they're trying, and even some of them out there probably don't even consciously want to stop. Whatever emotion they're going through, I hope that they come across this show and it sparks something, or the hearing that story resonates with them so much. A part of my recovery was honestly, when I first started going, and we were going to losing my train of thought, the clinic and stuff for Suboxone, there was the insurance I had at the time. Luckily my wife got us some insurance, and there was for a while there was this company that would pick me and my wife up and a couple other people who I ended up flat smacking, right? because we'd take a carpool together to the clinic in the morning. And all these people had the same mindset to get their lives back, to, you know, become a productive member of society again. And just all of us in that car together, stopping and getting coffee, and just really that companionship and knowing that there is other people out there, you know, because when we go to these places, there's obviously people there that are just going to get high, and people that will be there for years, and they're not really taking it serious. But this little group of people we had, man, like, it really, those people, even if I don't talk to most of them anymore, you know, there's a couple that I still am friends with that I flat smacked, but just having that moment, I really cherish that, because that was part of my recovery, was companionship and knowing that there's some type of support system out there, you know. And that's what I want this show to be, is a support system, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and when you share with love like this, you know, nothing but good is going to come from it.
Right.
And
it has been, man. Exactly. Like, I'm a living example, honestly. Like, since I've been stopped going against the grain and like righting my wrongs and trying to be a better person and all that, I stopped going against the grain, and I've been trusting the process, and everything's working out for me. Even when there's little hiccups, it even balances itself out and just gets me right back on track. Like, everything is working the way it's supposed to, you know. Even when I think it's not, it ends up working out in the end, you know.
You learn something super valuable
Yes.
from that hiccup, and you know, you're not going to repeat that mistake in an even worse way in the future now.
Absolutely.
You know, that's how we grow. We learn from our mistakes. I love finding out that I was wrong, because it means that I'm learning something. Okay, I thought that before. That wasn't right. Okay. Yeah, and after you're able to admit, you know, that you have this, like I know the three of us on this panel have been through, when you overcome addictions and you have to admit that problem first, then being wrong is just being wrong. It's easy to admit, okay, I was wrong. But there's so many people out there that can't admit that they're wrong. They'll defend nonsense to their death just so they don't have to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to come up with excuses for everything I did, and dude, it was bad. And then it's like, you know, you just gotta be honest. Like, you know, right now, I knew, like, no one can tell me what kind of piece of shit I was. I knew what kind of piece of shit I was, and I wasn't ashamed to tell anybody about it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not that person anymore, you know? So if anyone wanted to like throw mud in my face about that, like, hey, I've already put that out in the ether. It's not a secret. You know, there's no shame in my game. And that was a part of my life, you know? And now because of those experiences, I have now like transcended. And, you know, it's hard to explain sometimes. It's quite a journey. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more about it this Wednesday, man. Tomorrow, actually.
That's right. That's right. And then Sunday, 7
Eastern?
p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern. Yep. And then after that at 10 p.m., you're going to see me on Mike LaBrash's channel, on his new show, T.H.C. And then Sunday, we're going to have James from Grounded Extracts on, and possibly Miss Mays if she's wanting to get up. They just had a baby, Grounded Extracts, James did. So big shout out to him. His groundedextracts.com, that's an official sponsor of the Melodome right now. So big shout out to them. Much love.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. All right.
Yeah,
so we were
talking.
Go ahead, Josh.
Nope, I was just gonna tell Ian much love. He says he's been dragging his feet for long enough. He's got some inside chores. Now he's got to get to the snow. So much fun digging out this morning, Ian. That's
yeah, peace and love. Have fun with that.
Yeah, not one I envy at all.
Good exercise. Just think of it that way.
If anything else, or nothing else.
Yep. Hey, that's what I always said. Time to go shovel. Well, it's good exercise at least.
Yeah. I remember being young and my dad, oh man, dude, I remember having to put the chains on the tires, and I told you should have done it last night, but you wanted to wait. And it's like doing it at 4 a.m. Oh my gosh. I'll never live in the snow again.
I remember one time it snowed hard and I was, 40 miles from home. And it took like 2 hours to get home. On the highway, people were doing like 30. It was just coming down. After all that, I was already tired. I get home and in the driveway, the plows had gone by like 3 times. So it was just this huge mound of snow, and it was really heavy, wet snow. So it was like 2.5 feet by like 5 feet, 6 feet of just like hard, compact, heavy snow. And it was dark. I did not want to mess with it at all. I was like, I'll just run at it real fast and go flying in there. Yeah, right. I went until I didn't even get through the whole 6 feet. And then I spent the next like 3 hours digging all that stuff out underneath my truck instead of doing it before where I could have just shoveled it off the top and done it probably in a good 20 minutes, half hour. It took like 3 hours of trying to get this super compacted snow out from underneath my truck. And I was in my 30s when I did this. This was stupid. This was real stupid. So, yeah, don't miss the snow. Hopefully never have to go through any of that again. But I definitely learned it's a lot easier to just shovel the stuff than trying to drive over it. Yeah, you learn. Or you fall a couple times because you compacted all that stuff and now it melted a little bit. Now you just have a big ice rink on your driveway and your walkway going up to the house. I don't miss it at all. Not at all. Yep. And Austin, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're from right around, you were northern Indiana, right?
Yeah. I got that lake effects now.
Yeah,
All that snow coming off Lake Michigan, dude, it'd be iced over the next day.
Yeah, and then when we were young, you could walk on the snow without breaking it.
Yep, you wouldn't even fall through.
And they're like, no way. It's like, oh yeah. And when you're not just a little child, you could do that all the way up until you're almost a teenager. If it does it real good, or you could walk on and it would just cave in a little bit and leave these weird looking. It was like a circle with a crack going down the center, and it would like cave in at the center crack.
Yep. I feel like my mic is hot right now. Sorry.
Sounds good on my end.
All right. Yeah, I missed the sledding and the snowboarding and all that stuff. I definitely missed that. Those were the good times, going out and playing with my friends in the snow and but even going to the barn, man, dude, that was, man, cold up there, dude. Cold.
Yeah, when you have to use an outhouse, it really does make one appreciate the advent of indoor plumbing.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yeah, I never liked the outhouses.
Outhouse was trying to bucket in a barn stall in the middle of winter at like 7:30 in the morning. It's like you should told you to use the bathroom before you left the house. Yeah, always learning the hard way.
It's been all that time this morning putting chains on the tires.
Right. God. Yeah. How can I take a shit when Oh well, you should have did the chains the night before. Like,
should have took your shit yesterday.
Right.
So we were talking about
pops. I love my dad.
We were talking about First Amendment auditors a little bit ago, and I wanted to bring up one more that I saw yesterday. I believe it was by a guy named Long Island Audits. He's one of my favorites that I found.
He's pretty good.
I like
too.
his approach,
Yeah.
the way he goes about it and everything. And he follows up. Now, he will give people an option. You know, if you apologize, we can leave it at that. I'll walk away, you know, or I'll go about my business and continue what I'm doing. And that'll be that. You learned a lesson. You don't need to be reprimanded. I don't need to sue you, you know. And so many of these people will not apologize. And then he follows up by suing them. But he's not doing it for money. He's doing it to prove a point. He's teaching these people a lesson in manners, really. And I just loved his approach. But he went into, I believe it was Illinois, some town hall in some city in Illinois. And on the front door, they said, you can't, no video recording, blah, blah, blah. And then it had the city code down at the bottom, like it was an actual law.
Yeah, it was a state code, I believe.
Yeah, state code. And it was a wiretapping code, which talked about hiding audible devices and recording people without their knowledge that they're being recorded.
Of their private conversations.
Yes, of a private kind, not in public where you don't have privacy, but in private. And they tried to use this law to say you can't come into our city hall and record our private conversations. And he argued it. I think, did he bring it up with their the local DEA, I believe, the district attorney? Not DE, the DEA.
They arrested him, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, he got arrested for it and everything.
And then he held a live streamed protest right outside. And they had a bunch of other auditors come down and they were all live streaming and everybody was out there. And then the mayor of the town came down and ripped down the signs off of the windows, off the doors. And saying, you know what? I'm going to look into this, but yeah, from what I'm seeing, I think you're right. I think this is unconstitutional, and came in and went and ceremoniously ripped them down off the glass during the live streams. So, I mean, he is definitely affecting change.
And the biggest part was they knew exactly what a First Amendment audit was, and they thought that they could work around the First Amendment with this ridiculous wiretapping law. Like, that's going to hold up. And you should have heard how smug this one lady, I don't know, she worked at the town hall doing something, and then the one officer, they were just speaking like they knew and this and that. Oh, yeah, you are not allowed. That's against the law. La, 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 la. And he's explaining to them, well, no, that goes against the freedom of speech. I have done this in 100 different places all over the country. You can't tell me that here you have a law that goes against my First Amendment right of free press. There is no such law. And he was right. There is no law that says that. That law didn't say that at all. So it just goes to show how pathetic and sad some people will be to try to strip your rights from you.
Then that's what's sad. I mean, I'm sure that there's an attorney that knows that just because that when you put that law at the bottom of one of these signs to make it a lawful order, that law that you're quoting needs to match the directive given on the sign. But they think, well, you know, who's really going to look at it? All they're going to see is a bunch of statutory codes, and who's going to really take the time to look it up? And if they do, who's going to really take the time to logically deduce that there's no expectation of privacy in public, so that private conversations don't apply to public buildings? So just because you're quoting a wiretapping law doesn't necessarily mean that it applies and gives this any sort of authority at all. Because most people aren't going to have the attention span to go through all of those steps. B, have the logic to deduce public from private. in regards to the wiretapping law versus the First Amendment right to free press, because who the hell really knows that one anyway? And how that really even applies. But what really pisses me off is that it's being done by people, all of them. They've sworn an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, which basically means, yeah, okay, I see the limitations. I see these things that I specifically have to allow you people to do. Thanks for reminding me. I will make sure I do that. The only threat that we have against our constitutional protection is against the people that have sworn an oath to protect them. I've never felt that my rights have been threatened in Afghanistan. I've never felt that my rights have been threatened anywhere else. Not Korea, Vietnam. Nowhere have I felt that my rights have been threatened. Do I believe that all those other people in Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, do they have all the same rights I do? I absolutely believe that. And I wish they had the same protection of those rights that I did. As far as countries go, America is exceptional in the fact that they make a half-hearted attempt to try to protect those rights. The shitty part that pisses a lot of Americans off is the only threat is against the people that have sworn to protect them. Because they will lie, cheat, and connive everything they can do to deprive you of whatever rights they think they can. Fourth Amendment? Well, you ID because I said so. Well, that's not how that works. How about you just shut the fuck up until I commit a crime until you have a reason to demand ID? Otherwise, it's your job to defend my right to be anonymous, to have a protection against my person, my papers, and my effects. Just leave me the fuck alone unless you see those things under threat or me threatening those of someone else. Then you come over and talk to me. I shouldn't have to try to protect myself against you. I pay you so I don't have to do all that fucking work. Because it's so goddamn hard to try to always be on guard to protect my person, papers, and effects. I need help. I'll pay taxes and you come help me protect my person, papers, and effects. Oh, fuck. Well, what do those taxes buy me? Great. Now I've got back to trying to protect myself now against the guy with a monopoly on violence, carrying a gun and a taser and handcuffs and a willingness and almost obligation to try to put me in a cage. God forbid I don't want to go willingly. Now he gets to use that monopoly on violence. And he's just as liable to shoot me dead in the street if I decide that I don't want to go be put in a cage. Because his dumbass didn't want to protect my rights. Rather, he wanted to try to deny me of them, strip me of them. Sorry.
Wow, we were drawing real close. That was a good one, Josh.
It's probably better to get those out here than anywhere else, really.
Hell yeah.
Okay, we got a couple minutes here. I just want to say real quick, I've seen a couple videos out about David's app saying it's unsafe and this and that.
Bullshit.
He did have a hacker hack into his system, and then the hacker went and made a video. I do the Flat Earth daily videos every day. Saw the video, showed it to David. Next day, it was fixed. He gave the guy a tip, thanked him for it, and said, "Hey, man, next time you can just contact me and I'll, David's on top of these things."
Right.
And now it's gone. Now it's fixed. And the guy even made a video saying that David fixed the app. But there's people out there just showing the first video and saying, "Look at it, it's not safe." It's a bullshit. David takes care. When David finds a problem, he fixes it. I was talking to Jaron yesterday about hacking. He was showing me, just some stuff, like how he kind of does it. And I was asking him, okay, so is there any system out there that is, program that is perfect? And he was like, well, maybe at first, but all of these things have, they're updated constantly. And it's not the person who wrote the program that's writing these new parts that are updated. You know, things are so big and so massive that one person, that super genius, can't do all of it. They need to source it out. So that's where you find your little glitches, is by, you know, when there's an update, and then you can maybe do this or that. He was, you know, it's crazy how they do it. It really is. It's not what I thought at all. But yeah, there is no system that's perfect.
Wow. All right, that's it. That's been a show. That's the Ironworks right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Don't forget to check out Awesome Austin over on Truther's Hour of Comedy T.H.C. Link is in the description, along with the channel to Awesome Austin. Thanks so much, Austin. We hope to see you back again here soon. Love you guys. Be good. Be well. Bye-bye.